Hello there.
Alright, so I reported yesterday on some Godzilla x Kong 3 leaks that are most likely definitely fake. We're going to report tomorrow or the next day on a full plot leak that kind of coincides with those leaks. That is probably most likely fake too, but there's a chance that this stuff is real, so we're going to report on that tomorrow or the next day. But for now, we have some reports that are actually probably real, and these are the first kind of real tidbits of information that we have on Godzilla x Kong 3 in terms of like where the plot will actually be headed from some somewhat reputable sources. So we're going to get into it in this video. If you guys enjoy my MonsterVerse content, consider subscribing, and let's get into it.
The Atomic Fair.
Alright, so Kaiju number 14 is kind of like up there with KDM as one of the more reliable leakers for the MonsterVerse, and he's talked a little bit about Godzilla x Kong 3 over the last few months, and one of the things that he said a few months ago that I only actually caught last week was talking about the next plot for Godzilla x Kong. Now, for one, he said something that we already pretty much know, which is that this movie is going to have a darker tone, but the most interesting thing here, okay, and this really goes directly into some of the things that were reported on from the Godzilla x Kong novel that actually might give like hints of the direction of Godzilla x Kong 3, is that Godzilla Kong 3 would feature a familiar villain. So, you know, my brain starts running wild when I hear that, but I have to assume that this is like one of two options, either Mecha King Ghidorah or like the return of Scar King somehow as like a Mechanicong, or just some kind of mech titan in general making some kind of grand return. That's kind of the way I see it, maybe a Mecha Godzilla version 2. But when we talk about Godzilla x Kong 3, we actually have to look at the novel as well, because I've reported on this multiple times, but the novel stated that the governments of the Earth were getting sick and tired of the Titans, and they were considering invading Hollow-Earth and doing something about the overreaching power of these Titans across the world. So it seems like this is something that actually could play into the plot. And when you talk about a darker tone, that's something that we already knew was coming probably. But when we talk about a familiar villain, it really makes me think that we could be getting some kind of mech villain, or maybe some kind of other organic titan that we've already seen, like in Godzilla King of the Monsters, coming back as some sort of villain, but I don't really think so. The more that we're hearing about Godzilla Kong 3, just a little trickles of information, I'm starting to think that this is going to involve the governments of the Earth much more than we think. But we have another update in terms of leaks for this movie. I try to keep you guys as up to date as I can, and I try to keep track of this stuff as much as I can. So over on Twitter, Kaiju number 14 also reposted Brian Duffield, who knows Grant Sputor, says he bets he'll give Kong respect and juice up Godzilla as well with the next movie. So this is kind of what he said, and you can see the Twitter thread right there. But he said he loves it, he loves him, and he bet he will, and he bets he'll juice up Godzilla too. So obviously this guy is just like a friend of Grant Sputor, or somebody who just kind of knows him, so he probably doesn't know any direct plot details of the movie. But this kind of makes me think that Kong is going to be involved in this movie. I don't think there's any reason to assume that Kong won't be involved in the movie at all, or at least be involved like in the third act of the film. But I think that this movie will be much more focused on Godzilla, and I'm still really hanging my bets on the idea of Godzilla Jr. coming into the MonsterVerse. We are going to talk about that in the next leak video that I have coming up, that talks about a full plot leak for Godzilla x Kong 3 that, like I said, is most likely fake, but talks quite a bit about Godzilla Jr. Whether or not any of these leaks that I'm reporting on are real or fake, I have no doubt in my mind that Godzilla Jr. is coming to the MonsterVerse. It's just way too marketable of a thing. There's like a huge marketability for cute versions of monsters and things like that. If you look at like Baby Yoda and you compare that to like somebody like Doug in the MonsterVerse, who is seen as one of these kind of cute titans, or even Zuko to some degree, I think Godzilla Jr. will be playing along the same threads, but I think that he'll be probably marketed much more than we saw Zuko. I feel like if we see Godzilla Jr. pop up in the next MonsterVerse movie, he is going to play a major part in the marketing of this film. So comment down below and let me know what you guys think about these latest MonsterVerse leaks. It's just a little bit of tidbits of information, but the idea that we are getting a familiar villain in the MonsterVerse is something that's really exciting. And honestly, the idea that the governments of the Earth would invade Hollow Earth is something that makes a whole lot of sense. But I'm really ready for the MonsterVerse to go to space and for us to see Space Godzilla. So I'm still kind of holding on to hope that that's who we end up seeing in the next MonsterVerse film. But we're going to report on anything as soon as we get any sort of information, whether it's real or fake. I'll definitely let you guys know that as well. If I report on a leak and I think it's fake, I'm not going to try to spout it out as something that is real. I'll definitely tell you guys I think it's fake. So comment down below and stay tuned to my channel for more updates on the MonsterVerse. And for this video, that's all I got, guys. So until the next video, be safe and stay well. Bye-bye.